Pre-show. Stretching my legs behind the scene. Good afternoon, kids. Hope everyone is doing well. Getting the cough button. All right.
Can you hear me, Dominick?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, dude. Rants of Izzo pre-show here on Spreely Media. It's Wednesday. We got 50% of the Burn Pit podcast, boys. He's got a text message from Scott. He is waxing his vagina and will not be able to make it today.
Is there a delay still, Dominick, or no?
It's way better than it was last week. It's technical difficulties, man. We're not the big MSN-funded shit, so it is what it is. All right, let's do some plugging here. Don't forget, Spreely.com is all things free speech, right? So if you go to Spreely.com, you're going to check out, there's a bunch of other shows on there, like the Burn Pit podcast, which is on every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Check out this last week's, I crashed that show, and it went down like the fucking Hindenburg. It was great. What else do we have? We have Report and Opine, The Dumb Show, Shannon Joy Show, and there's some other shows coming to the platform. Also, should you happen to love free speech like I do, and you love that stupid little thing called the Constitution, you go to Spreely.com. There's a social media platform where you can espouse your little heart's content, all that kind of shit. It's great. Oh, hang on. Let me pull this up for the viewing audience. We do have, so for those who are watching, I got to pull this up for you guys. See, this is Spreely. Spreely is a verb and a noun. It means to speak freely, to say whatever you want, whenever you want, whatever you want, whenever you want. All right. We need to go to, look at this, shop now at the bottom of the Spreely.com page. It's loading. Loading. I've got the fastest internet on the planet. What is this? If you go to apparel, go to t-shirts, if you feel like wearing one, there's a, I'm voted for the convicted felon shirt. But there's also an Eat, Sleep, Drink, Spreely, Repeat.com, a free speech shirt. Look at these awesome, oh, here's a Molon Labe shirt for you fucking cunts online who are just going to say it and never going to actually do it. And when the bootlickers show up to your house, you can be like, here, yes, sir. Here's my pistols and my firearms. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today a little bit. Oh, yes. Shit. All right, kids, let's do a show here on Spreely.com.
Prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on the show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
Okay, let's go. Ready, go!
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your hosts, Dominick Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
All right, good afternoon, kids. This is the Rants of Izzo Show here on Spreely.com. All things speak freely, entertainment, education, everything from porn to politics. We cover every subject out there. My co-pilot today, Maddie Wack from the Burn Pit podcast. Could not have Scott Sieverts today in here because he's out there trying to break his record of sucking chrome off trailer hitches, but you know, it is what it is. I have to come off the bat here, and I owe a public apology. It's kind of ironic because I love Matt has done this before. This is why I associate with Matt, because he's a fucking man of integrity. My show today was ruined because I was going to go off the deep end talking about the Constitution and the savagery we have in conservative mobs, and I can't do it. Can't do it. If you listened yesterday when I had Joe on, I delved in a little bit to what I read from the internet was a quote from Sheriff Grady Judd, who I'm not the biggest fan of Sheriff Grady Judd for a couple different reasons. I love the concept of innocent until proven guilty. I love it. It's what this country is built on. Call it the fact that I had a change of heart, being in a position of power as a cop where nonstop, dude, what I said fucking went on the street. And I've talked about, it's an addiction of power. I don't care if it's a suspended driver's license or a stabbing. Fuck, man, when you're on the street, you put those cuffs on somebody or you jack them up a little bit, and it's addicting. And I started to have to think about, I don't give a shit if it's a drugged out criminal piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. It's still a human being. They're not better than I am. I couldn't stand during the time of where the whole George Floyd bullshit, every American showed their true colors, where you had, oh my God, let's all condemn Derek Chauvin. But then you fast forward and then you found the littlest teeny tiny loophole to forgive Derek Chauvin for what he did. But, oh, well, George Floyd's got a criminal history. George Floyd held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. I don't give a shit. The second you start playing judge, jury, and executioner, we lose this fucking country, especially from your first responders. My view is always, today's victim is tomorrow's offender and vice versa. So that shithead that you arrested for retail theft or for, get beaten up his fucking girlfriend, someday, sadly, he's going to need your help as a cop. And fuck all, if it's not your job as a police officer to honor your oath to the Constitution, you still have to serve them. And sadly, we have a fucking mob rule going on in the conservatives that doesn't believe that. So the quote that I commented on like crazy yesterday and the day before, and I'm not going to lie, it kept me the fuck up all night, Monday going into Tuesday. I took it from a media article that I first saw with a meme. So I copied it and I put it in the search engines, and it produced an article. That was all the searching I did. I'm not a journalist, so I will absolutely admit that I didn't do my due diligence. But here was the quote. The Polk County Sheriff, referring to Grady Judd, said, quote, "You kill a policeman, it means no arrest, no Miranda rights, no negotiations, nothing but as many bullets as we can shoot into you, period." I'm not going to lie. I lost my fucking shit when I heard that, because how can a sheriff admit that? And I posted a couple different contents on it. One was just a post, and then another was a reel on it. I got lit up by cops, Blue Line supporters, and citizens who had zero fucking problem with that quote. Before I unleash Matty Whack on this, number one, he didn't say that. I got an email from the Polk County Sheriff's Department this morning saying, hey, just so you know, that's a quote that's been misquoted. Didn't say that. We would appreciate if you took it down. I took everything down. I did a public apology via video on all my social media channels today. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I'm glad that he didn't say that, but the twisting of words that people say, you're taking his words out of context. So for a second, I want to pretend. So number one, here's the deal. I apologize publicly to Sheriff Grady Judd. He didn't say that. He didn't deserve what I had said, and I am 100% very pleased to have been corrected by his department. Great. Awesome. I want to play on one end, Matt, and I want to present this to you. The people were acting as if he said it. It was 100% okay. That you're taking what he said out of context. Oh, these criminals don't deserve civil rights. They don't deserve due process. Fuck them. Fuck around and find out. Blah, blah, blah. He does more good down here for anybody else in the county. The way that read, in my view, was not, hey, I feel like I'm fucking going to end my life, so I'm going to go out with a blaze of glory by firing a gun at cops actively. And as an active shooter, you better make me look like an aerated front lawn. I have no problem with that. The way that it read was, you kill a cop, A, you're placing the value on a cop's life more than a citizen. B, we're going to hunt you down, find you. Fuck due process. We're going to kick in your door, and we're going to pump 68 rounds into you. And when the reporter says, hey, why did you fire 68 rounds into him? Because that's all we had. People had no fucking problem with that. My two questions for you is number one, am I off base? Should people be afforded due process in that aspect? It's a three-part question. Number two is, what are your thoughts on the citizens supporting that? You know, we'll start with those two, just right there and then. How's that? Because I won't get way long-winded.
Yeah, well, there's a couple things here. First of all, obviously what he said was taken out of context and it was incorrect. But that being said, we live in a world now, Dominic, where if a police officer or any law enforcement official is accused of saying something like that, and from what we know to be true, that is a very believable statement, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like that's out of the realm of possibility. As a matter of fact, somebody saying a statement like that in the law enforcement community is very, very well to be in the realm of possibility. But it wasn't. He didn't say that. However, to your second point, you have the citizens agreeing with anti-constitutionality. So let me go by this. You said that the citizens are saying that good, he should have been shot, he doesn't deserve due process, he's a criminal, blah, 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 blah. Just here in Greensburg County, in Pennsylvania, or I'm sorry, in Greensburg, which is in Westmoreland County, one county to the east of Allegheny County, there was a situation to where I have a personal friend of mine who is a lawyer. He defended a person who shot and killed a police officer and proved it was done in self-defense and justified and got the guy off. So that I could be in the minority. It doesn't matter. Sometimes if someone shoots a police officer, doesn't mean they're guilty. Maybe it means the police officer was in the wrong.
Oh, I don't mean to be an asshole. I don't mean to be an asshole, but 100%. I mean, you're going to tell me that there is no thinkable scenario where you could shoot. You know, what, a cop is drunk and he's been fucking your wife and you come home and catch him and he points a gun at you and you act in self-defense. There's a ton of different scenarios. The problem I had is, number one, the public who is, how do they, were you guys not around in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, when these same police officers, they ripped you out of your church? Ian Smith, fucking cops. They targeted him, closed his gym down, arrested him, targeted him for DUI, all this shit. Fucking, how many school board meetings were people taken out of because they didn't wear a mask and they couldn't confront the teachers? The village hall meetings where the mayors and the fucking were untouchable. You guys have that short of a memory where all of a sudden it's, oh, you kill a cop, you deserve to fucking die. You're kidding me, right? Where did we put these men and women on a pedestal who could not fucking stand to their oath and honor the Constitution for the last several years? I'm just curious about that.
Well, it's been happening very slowly, right? Over time, over decade after decade. And to your point, whenever me and you first met, Dominic, we discussed this on our podcast, remember?
Yep.
About what the cops did or what they didn't do, right? They enforced illegal laws, which are, in other words, are crimes. They violated their oath to office. That's another crime. They deprived constitutional rights. Again, felony offense under U.S. law code, and I'm sure every state has their state law code where depriving constitutional rights is a violation of the law. I know here in Pennsylvania, like I said, Title 18, Section 5301, it's called official oppression. Multiple states did this, to your point. And if you use, as a police officer, the threat of violence or violence itself to enforce this crime, to commit this crime, you are by definition a violent criminal, and any citizen has the right to defend themselves by the use of force, by the implementation of the Second Amendment from any violent criminal. I don't give a fuck what your fucking occupation is. Even if it's law enforcement, you are a criminal.
Sadly, that was the thing that I just don't think any tone-deaf Blue Line supporter understood. Where, okay, see, here's the rub too. I was a cop, so I know how easy it is to manipulate evidence, not wrongfully, but how do I say this? You can articulate. The way that you can articulate evidence and facts to fit your narrative is extremely simple. So let's say you have Sheriff Joe Smith of any county, USA, who makes that statement, and the public is tired because they can't fucking see this. The public is tired of the liberal district and state's attorneys not prosecuting. They leverage the black community. They leverage the criminal illegal aliens coming in. You get nice little fucking white innocent girls raped and stabbed and murdered and all this shit by illegal criminals. There's no accountability. Joe Biden did this. The border's open. The black community's out of control. All this shit. Now they want the police to be hired dumb muscle. It's as simple as that. How fucking long do you think it will be before you give these men and women carte blanche with authority to where they turn it on you? Because not every day are you going to have a shooting, a stabbing, a raping in your town, in your county, or maybe you're going to get the county that doesn't have as much action as the other one. And cops do love to watch cop fucking shit. You get some cop who's got a fucking raging hard on for a high stress call, and he stops you for not fully completing a traffic stop, right? Your tires didn't stop all the way, and you're 62 years old and a female, and you're like, what's the problem, officer? Get out of the fucking car, bitch! And she's resisting. It's like the South Park shit. They're coming straight for us. Back when that first came out, it's, oh, they were resisting. They're going to turn on you. I'm not sure how you don't understand that. It blew me away. Go ahead. Go ahead.
They already have turned on us. It's not like, you talking about the police turning on the people?
Yeah.
They already have. We're already there. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Laws don't get rescinded, Dominic. Very, very, very few laws get repealed or rescinded. More laws get put into place. Look at the red flag laws. Under Barack Obama, 8 years of Barack Obama, 4 states had red flag laws. Violation of First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Article 1 of the 14th Amendment, right? You have 5 amendments fucking violated by these red flag laws. Obama, 4. You have now under Donald Trump, 4 years, 10 more states, total of 14 states now have red flag laws. Now under Joe Biden, we're up to either 19 or 20, okay? It doesn't get better. It gets worse. I believe, and I don't quote me on this, but it is close to, I believe, 10,000 people in the state of Florida. Governor DeSantis, a red state, Republican-run state, has red flag laws. Over 10,000 weapons were confiscated through the illegal, unconstitutional red flag laws. They continue to deprive rights. You have now, I believe, 4 states with specified anti-Semitism laws, which means you can't even criticize Israel. You cannot even do BDS, which is boycott, disinvestment, and sanctions, which means you can't even say, hey, let's boycott Israeli products because I don't like what they're doing in Gaza. In Florida, that's illegal, as well as other states. Kristi Noem, considered the most conservative Republican governor in the entire country of the United States. She implemented the anti-free speech, anti-Semitism law. You have, I believe, Georgia governor who did it, and as well as Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, all red states. Now you have a total of 38 states in general with anti-free speech laws, where they're called hate speech laws, which if you say certain things about certain groups, you can be fined or go to jail.
Fucking free speech, yeah.
It's getting worse. And cops, again, I've said it a million fucking times, cops will enforce these, because if they don't receive their pension, paycheck, and benefits. This is why they will do whatever they're fucking told.
100%. And to see conservatives who are so pissed off at liberal mob rule, you're doing the same fucking thing. The amount of people in the comment section who are talking about somebody, quote, deserving it, I'm like, do you not understand? With the second you say, Cicero, Illinois, which is a south suburb of Chicago, they just had video of some fucking kid. I guess he shot a clerk in a convenience store over a bottle of liquor. Cops stopped him, pulled him out of the car. They're fucking tuning him up. I mean, they're just tuning him up. And in the comment section, good, deserved it, fuck around, find out, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, this is where we're at. The public wants to see this out of control crime that they're told is happening on a nonstop daily basis, which to some degree is, being handled on the fucking street by a bunch of unqualified men and women who, A, are fat and out of shape, B, have no tactics, C, can barely fucking shoot their pistols qualified well, and D, they're going to turn their shit on you when it happens. The one thing that kills me is, I don't know this, and because I want to take a step back for a second. You're right about the whole fucking, oh shit, you had a great damn point about fucking people turning on cops. Because if we're all about the Constitution, so that means everyone should be 100% okay, if you support the Constitution, that a fucking cop is shot and killed by a person who's defending themselves from an unlawful search and seizure. There's no question. Now, ask me. I will state this. If I am 100% pro-Constitution, yes, I am okay with a citizen using the proper amount of defense to terminate life-threatening behavior towards a police officer, which is the exact same authority they have to defend themselves. Maybe if we have that Constitution-backed up threat, cops would know the Constitution more and they wouldn't violate the fucking law of the Constitution as much. I don't know. The rationale people use. This was a quote from Edward Snowden, somebody put up online yesterday, arguing that you don't care about the right to privacy because you have nothing to hide is no different than saying that you don't care about free speech because you have nothing to say. And I added, that's the same equivalency to people who are defending cops violating criminal civil rights because I don't break the law. We are this fucking stupid, dude. Yeah. What, we've talked about it several times with Scott too as well, that when the shit hits the fan and all these factions are going to come out and all these groups and blue checkmark celebrity, hey, they have their Waco, Stan, Texas, Ranch Davidian, whatever it is, and then whatever. People think that the cops are going to fucking be on their side for some kind of civil war. Do you not know law enforcement? They are some of the most ill-trained, unorganized, interdepartment hated. They fucking hate one another. I've got a cunt who's all over my shit. Pew Pew Goddess. She's a fucking washed up TV fucking live PD hag who can't stand anything I do because I say women shouldn't be cops. She's a grade D failed fucking OnlyFans model. She should have been. And she rips on me left and right. She's in my comment section all the time about shit. Always talking about, you got fired, you got this, you got that. Bitch, you're dating a man who's on the fucking Brady list who's been fired from 2 departments. The hypocrisy from fucking cops is insane. And you think these people are going to be on your side when the shit hits the fan? We have a delusional fucking culture who is mob rule just as bad, if not worse, than the liberal left.
I agree. And the only time that the cops would ever, the only instance into which the cops may be on our side is if we have numbers of individuals so large that these local municipalities or county police can't even compete to the level of, so-called civilian militia or, organized tactical response units that are civilian based that will give them, put it this way, a imminent threat to where the cops are like, yeah, we're not going to go up against those guys. I mean, there's too many of them. We should probably think about either getting another job or taking their side and maybe getting rid of the tyrants in charge, because at least we can still maintain our job. We'll just have new leadership. And these guys will be in power, these constitutionalists. However, I don't believe we're ever going to get to that point, to any type of civil war, because citizens are actually worse. They refuse to organize. The average citizen doesn't know how to fucking shoot, doesn't have a weapons capability skills. They don't even own body armor. Most of these people that I know people that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in AR-15s, optics, all kinds of weapons, night vision, suppressors, and they don't even know how to train and use it. They have it because it's cool, and they might go to the range once a year and shoot that stuff. Civilians are the worst because they know that government organizations are already organized. They're already paid for. They will come together. The reason that most people don't break the law, whether it's a legitimate law or unjustified law, the reason people will comply and obey is because they know that a large gang of armed men will come after them ultimately if they break this law or if they do not comply. Why? Because you have these groups of people, these armed gangs of men called law enforcement, that again are paid for. Nobody pays citizens to defend their rights. Nobody pays citizens to train in tactical firearms training. And quite frankly, these cucks that are the average citizen have no desire to do so. They'd rather go out drinking. They'd rather play video games. They'd rather go to parties. They'd rather watch sports ball. They'd rather do anything else rather than even spend a few hours every single week and train in not only weapons tactics, tactical pistol rifle training, but self-defense training, hand-to-hand combat, any type of group tactics like we do. No one does that on a large scale. So even if there was an instance to where police would be in a position to choose a side, the citizens will never organize in any large numbers to give the police or law enforcement community that visual threat to where they would take their side or at least step back and do nothing.
You just described, too, a ton of cops as well, too. Play video games, fucking not train, all this shit. Yeah. There's really no difference for the most part. All the fucking cops out there, you just describe them. They go to work, they do the half-ass, they collect their check, they go fucking home, or they don't go home, out to the bars and drink. It's the same damn thing. It's just that drunk with power authority police have. Yep. And again, you have people who, how can you, as a citizen, and maybe this is my split standard, right? I don't have a split standard. I will never, because maybe it's because I'm empathetic. I get that there's a fat fucking black woman from Ohio who stabbed a 3-year-old kid to death in a parking lot the other day. I didn't do it. It wasn't my kid, so I feel nothing for it. She's a fucking insane criminal. She's a vile human being. She's probably a fucking demon-infested fucking pig. I have no right to pass judgment on her. None whatsoever. I'm not the magistrate. I'm not a judge. I'm not this. I'm not a jury. I can't do any of that stuff. I do not want to tap in the side of myself that starts dictating who the fuck gets punished or whatnot. I don't. And when you start putting that on the onus of the police to do, how can people be okay with, all right, I want the cops to just put 3 bullets in the back of this bitch's head in a parking lot instead of taking her to court? Oh, but wait a second. Why are you guys knocking on my door? Because my neighbor heard me playing a video game saying, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to shoot you. Mm-hmm. So now fucking 15 of you are here to force entry, take me into custody, take my guns, that I'll have to petition the courts to get back 3, 4, 5 years from now. That one couple who stood their ground outside their home during the protests during Trump, they still don't have their fucking guns back.
Yep.
People don't understand. Why are people defending cops when it fits their agenda to punish somebody they don't know for behavior that still innocent until proven guilty? I'm off on a tangent. Something I don't like that Sheriff Grady Judd does is he parades around the mugshot arrests of people that they take into custody. Mm-hmm. Who the fuck is ever going to get a fair trial after your fucking place has been plastered all over the news and the sheriff is saying you're fucking guilty about shit? You're implying, you're painting a character. It's unfucking fair. It's okay for citizens to do. I don't give a shit about that. But you're trusting your law enforcement, who's supposed to have the highest integrity possible to uphold the Constitution, and they fucking don't. My blood is boiling. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, well, the average American doesn't have integrity anymore. So they're just a reflection of the current culture. The difference is with police, is to what you said. It is their job. They get paid for it to do it. They are public servants. So if you don't have integrity, you're an average citizen that works at McDonald's, it's not going to cause me any problems. And the average individual who is who has absolutely no integrity, who is a police officer, because now you're fucking with my constitutional rights and potentially my life. And again, the reason people do not fight back physically is because they don't have the numbers, because they're not organized, and they don't train. Cops get paid to violate your constitutional rights. Literally, they get paid to do so. That's what they get paid to do. You do not get paid as a citizen to protect your constitutional rights. And this is the problem. This is why maybe police departments should be privatized rather than a public entity. Again, Dominic, I said it before. Police departments didn't even fucking exist until 1838, 1840. They didn't exist. And the sheriff department is an elected. It's the only elected law enforcement position. And if you're a cuck and you're a sheriff, well, then that sucks. But at least they're elected. Everybody else, police chiefs, all these other people, they're not elected. That being said, no one's ever going to implement any type of standard for police departments because tyrants on both sides, whether it's the left or the right, to your point, this couple in Atlanta, Georgia, who got their guns confiscated, protecting their own home on their property because BLM smashed down their gated community and were illegally protesting in the streets. They got their firearms taken away. By who? Cops. What's the political affiliation of these police officers? Where do they lean politically? Are they conservative or are they liberal? Well, it doesn't matter because they will enforce whatever the fuck they're told to enforce. Name one cop during COVID that said, not only am I not going to enforce this, but I'm going to arrest any cop that does enforce it. Any health department official that enforces it. I'm going to fucking arrest the governor for implementing this because he violated the Constitution. I'm going to fucking arrest every state police officer. I'm going to arrest the Liquor Control Board for shutting down bars and restaurants. Not one cop in the fucking country did that. They didn't even fucking speak of doing it or threaten to do it. And this is where we stand. They don't give a fuck about the Constitution. They give a fuck about their paycheck, and quite frankly, they are groomed to do that when they join the police academy. I mean, where am I wrong?
You're not. I told you when it first came out, I put up on my Facebook. I said I kind of put these things out there. How can you guys do this? Blah blah blah. I had an active cop who writes in the comment section of my post, you need to shut the fuck up. You're not a cop anymore. You don't know what it's like to worry. You have to worry about where your paycheck is going to come to feed your kids and pay your mortgage. And I went, did you just publicly admit that you will fucking violate somebody's civil rights for your fucking paycheck? He deleted and blocked me. It's like, are you kidding me?
Well, that's where we're at. And until it gets bad enough to where the citizens finally feel disenfranchised enough, they're like, hey, you know what? We've had enough. Let's organize. My municipality law enforcement department or county department, sheriff's department are corrupt. Hey guys, are you with me? Let's organize and go down there. All we need is 50 dudes.
But that's it. That won't happen. On both sides, it won't happen. Greg Anderson is the only cop I could think of who he spoke up on duty in uniform in a squad car about what was going on against COVID, and they fucking fired him for it.
They asked him to remove his Facebook Live video, and he refused to. But thank God for him, he was able to get GoFundMe money and start his own business doing a jiu-jitsu training or something like that.
Can you imagine on both sides? Like, when you're talking about organizing and shit, I know firsthand how cops are the biggest fucking cunts when it comes down to complaining about shit in their department. And then when it comes down to taking action, well, I wrote it in my book. Nobody could stand our chief. I had compiled a 13-page letter that I wrote citing several, I don't know how many, violations of our own department policy by our chief and command staff, and I issued it to the mayor and every trustee out there. And everyone said, well, you got to write a letter of no confidence. I said, I will do it. 100%. Wrote a letter of no confidence. When it came down for signatures, I can't sign. God, they all got threatened. So one of the cops in the department who was an ass kisser, she wrote a letter of confidence, and all but one cop signed that letter saying, well, no, we don't agree with what Dominick said. So for anybody who's like, well, yeah, the good cops are all going to come together, you guys don't get it. The day that somebody does X, Y, like how many people I have to wonder on fucking Derek Chauvin's department gave him the widest of fucking berths when that shit happened. They could have said, dude, we know it was fucking George Floyd. Well, we dealt him 100 times. They probably went, yeah, you're on your own, dude, and fucking did a Homer Simpson's in the bushes. You guys do not get it. When a cop does something and they're in the crosshairs, their little cohorts scatter like cockroaches. There's no fucking blue line. That blue line is what you put on your bumper sticker and a flag or an FOP emblem, thinking that it's going to get you out of a parking ticket. It's your whole, I got the blue line logo on my hat, or it's on my social media, and then you get pulled over by a cop. They purposely look for people like fucking you. Because their ego is, I'm a police officer, you're a fucking bootlicker, I'm going to show you. You cannot arbitrarily support an organization that does not put the Constitution first, and that was my whole fucking rant is. Thank God it was clarified, but fuck the amount of people who have no problem with someone else's civil rights being violated. Doesn't matter what the crime. Oh, he choked a fucking toddler, tied his hands behind his back, and threw him in a river after he sodomized him. Guess what, kids? This is the shittiest thing in the world to hear. They still get due process. If you get rid of that, the country is done and it's over. It is mob rule. And then Susie Jane, who supported that one day, is going to go down the side of the road and say, oh, I don't want chocolate ice cream. I want vanilla. And every one of those motherfuckers who was on her side for trying to convict the fucking child rapist and killer, they're all going to turn on her. That's mob rule. And you want this.
Yeah. Look, I agree. And this is why we have, punishment to fit the crime, which is why we have the death penalty. If the person deserves to die, okay, that gets done by the judge to give them capital punishment after they went through due process and were found guilty. That's why I am in favor of capital punishment, especially for individuals like this. In my opinion, after they're found guilty, due process was done. They were definitely guilty. There's no questions asked. I believe that they should at least, depending on what state you live in, they can be put to death afterwards. And that's where it comes into play. But to your point, I agree with you. They have to go to trial first. It doesn't mean you mow them down immediately, unless, of course, it is a self-defense situation. But you'd have to prove that as well.
Fucking that sucks, and that's terrifying because you can't. It's as simple as that. You're always going to get. I think you want to go back to it. I've said it a million times. Things changed for me when I met Sheriff Richard Mack, and I started to see, this is a sheriff who's the president of the Constitutional Peace Officers and Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. The Constitution, what's the fucking idea of this? And I started to talk to him, and then I started to look at things like, wait a second, man, traffic citations are unconstitutional, in my opinion. Where, okay, if I stop you for speeding, and I say, hey, do me a favor, Matt, you're just driving, you're 20 miles an hour over the limit. Would you please stop? Yeah, okay, I can't control what Matt does afterwards, but I did my job. Well, if I write Matt a citation, Matt's got to take a day off work. He's out of money. He has to pay a fine. All this shit. That's excessive fine violations as far as I'm concerned. I really do. Yeah. When I started to look at this and went, man, if I really went back to the Constitution, I bet I would be a better cop. And I stopped writing fucking tickets. I wrote one ticket in fucking 9 months, and my department went ape shit. And I can't believe how many people all of a sudden started giving me shit with my view on that. Well, you need to have cops fucking enforcing traffic laws because there's so many deaths on the highway. It doesn't change. It's revenue generation. Ultimately speaking, we need a massive revamp for law enforcement. Has to go back to the Constitution.
How do you do that?
I do not believe in eliminating everything and starting over. I think what I want to do, and what I have been on lately, is this changing the culture of cops. And that is, even if I have to be the loudest dick in the room and be fucking hated, I'm hoping that 2 or 3 or 10 and eventually thousands and thousands and thousands will say, fuck, you know what? I am tired of bending over backwards for my command staff. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired. Then they have to see, sadly, as much as we fucking hate it, we work for the public. Sir Robert Peel's 9 Principles of Policing. I say this all the time. Number 7, the police are the public and the public are the police. You come from the citizenry, you get your badge, your responsibility, not your right, your privilege, and you're going to go back to the public after you spend 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, you're fired, you resign, you retire, whatever. You're given a fucking privilege. If people took it more seriously, I think it would change. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know really at all.
Well, I think we can agree that consequences are always a good factor when people want to change someone's behavior. And whenever you have a child, and I know me and you don't have kids, but I was a kid, and if I did something wrong, I was hit, I was beat, whatever, wooden spoon, belt, shoe, you name it. Why? Because I fucked up. I did something I shouldn't have done. Get smacked across the face for talking back to my mom once on the dinner table. Never did it again. What?
Yep, I agree.
Changed me, Dominic? Violence. That's what the police use for criminals whenever they do something wrong.
Oh man, I want to cut you off, but that's where you're going, right? Because the public thinks that the more violence the police dish out on the streets, the more it will dissuade the behavior of the citizen. So maybe we need to start implementing violence on the cops. Oh, you fucked up. You violated somebody's civil rights. You told them
if they're not going to be criminally charged and the justice system isn't going to charge them and they're not even going to be held responsible, what other option is left?
I don't know. And this is a dangerous but necessary conversation to fucking have. If you're a cop, and how many police critique videos do I do where it's 2024 and you got some cop, Phoenix Police Department in Arizona a couple of years ago. A guy took a shot at two cops in a squad car and then ran into looked like a fucking electronics store. They cuffed him. I believe they kicked him in the head after he was cuffed and all this shit. Nothing was done. You did the job. So in that circumstance, if I were chief of the police and I had emperor staff of the world, okay, you did the job up to this point. Great. You kicked him in the head. Now we're going to take turns kicking you in the fucking head. Because if you cannot control your emotions, we have a fucking problem. Maybe we need classical conditioning. I don't know. Because no responsibility and accountability is ever had.
Well, that's not even that bad of a case. I mean, he did shoot at the police. Look, you're right. I don't disagree. But whenever cops are like choking a guy to death in New York City because he sold 2 cigarettes out of his pack to somebody, Eric Gardner case, and all they did was fire him. He literally murdered somebody because, quote unquote, he was breaking the law, which wasn't breaking the law. You're allowed to sell cigarettes out of your pack, okay? And they choke him to death for that? And he gets fired?
I don't know.
Right? I mean, is that am I wrong?
No, I look at Derek Chauvin as the prime example. What Derek Chauvin did, I've said this numerous times, was worse than murder George Floyd. I believe George Floyd died of a fentanyl overdose, but I also believe that by having somebody in handcuffs, pinning them down, their heart rate's going to or escalate, and it's going to pump that shit through their system faster and kill them. What he did was kneel on his kill trophy.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
But isn't that move, and from what I've heard multiple people within the Minneapolis Police Department or the state of Minnesota, they said that technique was not against protocol.
It wasn't, and he's done it before. There's other pictures of him doing before.
Well, I've seen multiple cops around the country do that as well.
Yeah, the problem.
I'm not saying I agree with it. However, if it's not against protocol and it's accepted, technically he wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary.
There's where the gray area comes in, because what's the length of time that you hold it? I can put
I don't know.
So I can. It's perception is reality, right? I can put you in a rear naked choke without squeezing, correct?
Yes.
But if I put you in a rear naked choke and you grip my arms and grimace your face, is it going to look like I'm squeezing you?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So it's public perception. The fact that the problem I had is the public doesn't know what it is, and Chauvin held that position for 9 minutes for a man who was in cuffs.
Yeah.
He 100%, the fact that the public is defending that piece of shit is the problem I have. You knelt on him because you probably were thinking in your head, fuck this shine. I fucking hate this black cunt. I'm going to do this for... He probably was filled with so much fucking hatred for this man. Oh, I'm going to take this opportunity to do it. But the public defended him. That's the problem I have. Yeah. I do not know where the accountability is going to be held into place. I don't know what the police are going to need to do. You look at... it's off on a tangent. Cops are not authorized, are not encouraged to shoot fleeing felons, right?
No. Right. Unless they have a weapon and they have just killed somebody. Now, real quick, in the state of Pennsylvania, there was a case, Antoine Rose. He was one of the black kids that got murdered. This was prior to the BLM stuff. He was in a car. They did a drive-by shooting, him and another guy. It was in an Uber, I believe. They did a drive-by shooting, and this Rosen Rosenbaum or Rosenthal cop who was Braddock. Anyway, he found the car. He pulled it over. Both the guys go out running from the vehicle. He chases the one. Again, it was just at a drive-by. They are considered armed. He told him to stop. He had his gun drawn. The kid turned around. Officer Rosenthal shot him. Now, what happened is he went to court, went to trial, and there were black jury members on the trial. And it is 100% legitimate in PA to shoot a felon or not a felon, to shoot a suspect if he had just committed a drive-by shooting or a shooting, any type of shooting, and they're armed and they are fleeing into general public. It is, and that's how he got off. The cop got off.
That it blows me away. Think about that for a second. This is where I was going with that. Is how he had to risk it, right? You're lawful if you have a pistol in your hand, 100%. Light him up.
Yeah, he didn't have a pistol, and he still got off. Yeah, so the kid had 2 magazines on him, I believe, or the gun was left in the car. But again, the cop didn't know, but he did know that was the car that did the drive-by shooting. And again, this is state of Pennsylvania. Every state could have different protocols when chasing armed suspects that
that's where I'm going with that. Armed suspect committing a felony. You've got, I think, 15 forcible felonies that you could shoot somebody if they're fleeing the scene with a weapon, and you can articulate. Okay. You know, if Matt's running through an open field, he just shot up a daycare center. He's running through an open field with his pistol in his hands. If he's still running, I can't shoot him in the back. How can I articulate, well, he's on his way to go commit another murder? It's a fucking field that's like 600 acres of land. Now, if you go run into a fucking Starbucks, man, I better have accurate aim to shoot you in the back, but it kills me. You're going to fight for that shit. How many bloodthirsty fucking conservatives love all these cops who do pit maneuvers on cars for traffic violations?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck
look, the overwhelming amount of situations that cops are in to where they're a complete violation of people's rights. And I'm talking on people who are innocent, clearly, because of what you said. They are power hungry. They are drunk with power. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And again, especially when it comes to the deprivation of rights blatantly on innocent individuals, because they are enforcing laws that are actually crimes, laws that shouldn't exist, laws that are against the Constitution. When police enforce that, I agree 100%. There needs to be consequences on the spot for these cops, and the citizens are the only ones that can do it. But what we said earlier, Dominic, the citizens do not have the courage or the will or determination to organize in large groups to combat this type of tyranny. And unfortunately, they will continue to enforce these crimes, law enforcement I'm talking about, because nobody does anything except for bitch and complain, and the justice system almost never holds them responsible.
No, the danger. I don't feel bad, but I see how many stupid citizens we have loving these cops who are online, and they're toting around their fucking blue line this, and I'm a warrior that, and the mindset. It's like, is that cop looking for just that one asshole that shows up that week so that they can go out and light him up on a traffic stop, and then fucking you're gonna pull your pistol and just ventilate him? And it's like, how do you as a lawyer then not go, hey, we've got years worth of social media content of this cop who parades the blue line on the Punisher logo everywhere they go. That's when I knew, when that phenomenon started to happen. I'm like, dude, we are fucked. You're putting a blue line on Frank Castle's Punisher logo. You know, he was a fucking vigilante that just killed people left and right? Yeah, got the blue line patch on my chest, and it's got the skull. We have dead-brained men and women serving with the badge, and I don't give a shit how pissed they get. They need to wake the fuck up and remember, you're nothing special. You choose to serve the Constitution and the people, and if you can't do that and think that you're better than people and your life matters more than anyone else, oh, poor me. The media crucifies me. Poor me. Oh, the fucking this, why, and this. Oh, wait a second. Don't hold what Derek Chauvin did against me because, I work in New York or I work in Florida or this. Well, maybe if you took accountability and you said, yeah, what this cop did over here, I don't want to armchair quarterback. Maybe if you do armchair quarterback a little bit more, people would start saying, oh, we need to come together for these cops. But until then, until you guys start accepting the responsibility that you're not fucking special, that the purpose of your job is to do shit that normal people won't, which is the media shits on you, the government shits on you, your fucking court, your cases are going to be overturned by corrupt DAs, corrupt SAs, your mayors hate you, your police chiefs hate you. You choose to go back to work every single day. That makes you a better human being. But if you don't do it with integrity, you're a fucking terrorist cunt. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, and it's a catch-22 also because you have the far left citizens in this country who, let's just say collectively speaking, don't like cops because of what they do to, people in the black community, right? It's always a racist thing. But the funny thing is they have no problem having the police coming after guys like me, right? So-called, right-wing extremists. They have no problem with the cops arresting so-called Trump supporters for insurrection, right? They have no problem with that. And then you have the flip side. You have the conservative Republican right, who they just, I back the blue, blue lives matter no matter what, right? And they never come down on the police, it seems. The funny thing is that is the only government organization that exists that conservatives literally worship and idolize, is the blue, and fire department, but fire department don't have the right to use violence against citizens.
That's what they're looking for. You get fat, lazy citizens who will only share memes online.
Yeah.
This is where people do not get what has happened. You've been conditioned. The black community you'll only see clips of blacks acting like savages online. The mainstream media, no matter how much they defend them in their cap and gown pictures, they never want to show you something good the black community does because it doesn't serve their purpose. So instead, they will pump out nonstop black violence, and you're growing thirsty and hungry because you're doom scrolling nonstop on your fucking phone and it's being implanted in your brain. Oh, look, the Hispanics and the criminal elements that are coming over this country, they're raping our children, they're bringing drugs in, they're doing this, they're doing that. You're being conditioned so that you want.
Well, but isn't that true?
There's truth to it. There's no question. There's truth to it. But instead of these fat fucking conservatives, lazy conservatives getting up and going to their village hall meetings saying, all right, what are we doing about this to ensure that our police are X, Y, and Z, our citizens are X, Y, and Z? They all blame the federal government and they all want the police to be the fucking pawns in their game. And they want the fucking cops to crack heads open on the sidewalk with no accountability, no responsibility to find out that maybe, oh shit, the cops are the wrong guy. Oh shit!
Well,
It was
or how about this, Dominic? Enforce laws that should be enforced. Again, to your point, you're talking about these migrants and everything. Well, the cops are escorting these migrants through. They're escorting the buses coming in, like in New York City. These cops are arresting guys like Daniel Penny, who subdued the guy on the subway and choked him to death. Granted, it was a self-defense thing because the guy was ready to attack and he subdued him. Now, I'm not saying that Daniel Penny shouldn't have his time in court, but it's just like at this point, if you're literally using self-defense.
But the guy had a knife, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference? If it was a cop, could the cop have shot him 18 times?
100%.
So why can't Daniel Penny do it? Yeah.
Right. So this is my point. I'm talking about the conservative right. They're against this Daniel Penny getting arrested, right? They're against all these people, these migrants coming in. Well, whose fucking job is it to arrest them or enforce the law? They always blame the mayor, the governor, or the president, only if it's a Democrat. But they will never blame the police officer. Again, executive branch, separation of powers, their checks and balances, right? I don't give a fuck if the legislative branch, Congress, or if it's a state general assembly passes a unconstitutional law, okay? They can pass an unconstitutional law. Then it goes to what? Another separate branch of government called the judiciary. That's a judge, adjudication. Okay, well, I say that this law is legitimate. Okay, I have another separate branch of government. It's called the executive branch to execute the law. I, as a cop or the police department, can say no. Checks and balances, separation of powers, your law is bullshit. I don't care if you passed it. I don't care if you, judge, adjudicated it and ruled in favor of it. I'm the separate branch of government. We don't have to enforce it. As a matter of fact, we're not going to enforce it. As a matter of fact, we're going to fucking arrest you two cucks for passing it and ruling in favor of it because it's a violation and deprivation of constitutional rights and you committed a felony offense. And since I'm the law enforcement agent, I'm going to enforce this law and arrest you. None of this happens. You no longer have a separation of powers.
None of us taught.
Yeah, you never. You don't have a separation of powers anymore. All you have is one conglomerate. It's an oligarchy. They all work together. Why? Because they all get paid by the same motherfuckers.
I was taught in the academy tactics. Okay, yeah, we had our get out your pen, and here's the video you see, right? And you see a video of a car. And then, all right, what citations would you write? And then you got to go and you write all this. I wrote 19 citations. Very good job, officer. It's a very good job. But you're taught tactics, traffic stops, domestic searches, role play, all this shit. We weren't taught the Constitution in the fucking academy. We weren't taught this shit. We weren't taught the value of officer discretion. I mean, how many cops could sit there and say, like, again, and cops are pressured for pay. Like I said, in my department. Why didn't you see me? Here's a memo. Why did you not write? It was the last response to a memo I ever wrote. Pissed off my fucking deputy chief. Write me a memo explaining why you did not issue this person a Class C misdemeanor citation for doing 35 over because they monitor obviously our body camera stuff and all this shit. Why didn't I arrest the guy for doing 35 over in a 30-mile-an-hour zone? And I simply wrote, I chose to exercise officer discretion. That was it. Yeah. Fucking never heard a damn thing. Obviously, fucking with the shit. Cops, command staff does not want cops to think on their own because they have to just like bean counters. They're accountable for the crime waves and then the solutions of the crime. They have to go to the mayor, keep their jobs, and the fucking public. And the public's going to increase the mayor.
You're basically justifying your existence as a law enforcement agent.
Yes.
And to your point, you said earlier, they're revenue generators. You got to bring in the money. You're bringing in the money.
100%.
And quite frankly, as long as citizens continue to put up with this, and it's unfortunate that it sucks because you have the far left are the only ones that use violence in the streets against this. I mean, unfortunately, they're just killing innocent people and burning down buildings, looting stores. But I wouldn't really give a fuck if these BLM protesters, if they truly felt, whether regardless it's true or not, if they truly felt that they had the police had unjustly killed or hurt a criminal, whether they are innocent or guilty, whether it's justified or not, if they just said, hey, we're not going to burn our city to the ground, but we are going to go after the police department because those are the guys that are physically responsible for this specific situation that happens, I wouldn't care. I would understand it. Okay, if you truly feel you were disenfranchised by the police department, then go after them. Why are you burning down fucking cities and killing innocent people in the street?
It blows me away.
The right wing, the conservative right, will never do that. No matter how much deprivation of constitutional rights the cops do against citizens, they'll simply blame the Democrat in charge, or the governor or the mayor or whatever.
Or when they fail to uphold their shit. When you're Chicago, when you're fucking Chaz or Chop, and you got people burned down your shit, and the cops are just standing by. Just standing by.
They never blame the police, though. The right wing will never blame the cops for it. They'll blame the fucking mayor or the governor or the president, whatever.
I made a comment when Trump was fingerprinted and arrested in mugshot. Where's all you Blue Line supporters calling out every fucking cop in there saying, you fingerprinted him? You escorted him? Every one of you should have said, no, I refuse. I will not do this. But no.
I back the blue.
Fucking ridiculous.
That's what it is.
Hey, we got like a minute left. Man, it's Juneteenth though. Juneteenth. See what I did there? Fucking yeah. Happy Juneteenth for I got nothing on that one. It's gonna be a day of shit forced down my throat, criminal activity, and then blame for me because I'm white anyways at the end of the day.
How many shootings you think in Chicago this weekend?
We had this last weekend 73 shot, 10 killed.
Well, what's your prediction for this weekend?
The weather's going to be warm. So, and it's not a holiday weekend per se. I'm saying 52 people shot. Let's relook at next Wednesday. 52 people shot, 7 killed. That's what I'm saying.
All right, that's okay. All right. All right.
How many people today get to celebrate Juneteenth but not live to see June 20th?
How many people are going to celebrate Independence Day even though they're not independent?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next week, I guess.
Fucking ridiculous. What do you guys got coming up for the Burn Pit podcast?
Well, I'm actually doing a pre-recorded episode today with a guy named Joshua. His name is Beholden to the Truth on IG. And next week, it is just going to be me and Scotty at Monday, 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll just be us again. We're trying to get other people on, like Ian Smith and Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell will be in town in August. It's just tough getting the scheduling with everybody. Because we want to get Ian and Bryce together.
I got to talk to Ian. I've had him on once. I got to get him on because I've never asked him his opinion about this for the shit he went and how his followers would support his views and whether or not he backs the blue because they fucked him over. They betrayed him, and that was absolutely horrible. Shit.
I agree.
All right, guys, have a great fucking Wednesday. Make sure you check out the Burn Pit podcast Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern live on Spreely.com and go check out their past episodes. Make sure you follow Maddie Wack on social media and Scott Sieverts, who's probably fucking, I don't know, he's got that shame porn feeling right now, post-nut clarity after getting a belly full of man semen at the fucking truck stop somewhere. I got fucking nothing. Hey, it's only a glory hole you're only gay at the glory hole if you keep your eyes open, Scott.
He's a busy man, Scott. He's a busy man.
I gotta give him shit anyways. All right, guys, have a great fucking day. Start thinking for yourselves and support the Constitution. Ultimately speaking, I'm not anti-cop. I cannot believe the epidemic of bad cops we have out there. It's no longer a one bad apple spoils a bunch. It's a fucking rotten orchard, and we need to change that. Go out and do something great for somebody today, and if you can't help them, just don't hurt them. See you guys tomorrow.
When the going's rough and you've had enough, leave your troubles and your woes. Turn the other cheek and forget your grief. Make a friend out of your foe. Give me a happy ending every time. We'll kiss and make up. That's a very peaceful sign.